Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named SOUTHDOGROCK titled Dreamer. It's the lyric video we're going to be checking out today, and if we switch it over to here we have ourselves a track on the screen. Now, full disclosure, I have listened to SOUTHDOGROCK's music before and I've typically enjoyed myself. This track features Salva Balbo on guitar, Roland Hassler, Freak Tell drums, Jean-Marc Mazzoleni on bass, Frank Schultz on keyboards and programming, as well as Marie Fonne on vocals, Florian Doppert on vocals, and it's produced and recorded and mastered at Frank Schultz's Proton Studio. So that will be on the screen. I can't trust that my pronunciations are going to be perfect. But we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. I'm also going to be scoring this track on a few different criteria as we go along. I'll be doing that, making notes as we go. But yeah, let's get started. What do we got? I mean, off the bat, it's really intriguing with the drum fill, bass and leads. Really charming, to be honest. I like the little sort of tail that we had with the legato feel on that. I think there's a lot of stuff to appreciate within this track, from the funkiness of the guitar parts on the right side to the fretboard exploration of the bass on the left there, the attention to detail, the 16th note grooves on the drums there, and the keys and everything else sounding nice and fragrant in the mid to high range. It's just, with the vocals as well, telling a story of the contrast between, adults and kids and how they see the world. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that. And a bit of French here as well. I mean, it was nice to have a little kind of it was nice to have a little lead break in the middle as well, but for not to be too much, to kind of pocket a little bit to allow to go into the next kind of hook line. You got me dreaming on, got me dreaming on. I like the fact that we've got a French verse and an English verse. I think for French speakers, fans potentially of what Marie Fonne is doing with her stuff, you've got that kind of, oh, that's their angle. And then for Florian, who I presume is doing the English part, that is their angle. You kind of go backwards and forwards on it, and it kind of makes it a bigger world there, I mean, you gotta admit it's catchy, right? The Dreamer, and then the Rêve part. So apologies for my pronunciation there. Going between the English and the French, it does help to kind of cement it, And then they come together like that. That seemed incredibly short though.
Des milliers de secrets, 10 questions par million, mais un rêve partagé. Un jour, nous nous reverrons.
A day that we remember or something along those lines, right? That was really interesting. I kind of like that. I'm going to give that extra points for structure. I think that having that kind of focal point there to kind of take things on from a different like perspective is kind of neat. It helps you to kind of think upon what you've heard and approach from a different angle. Oh, we have everyone involved here anyways. It's kind of quiet. Nico Fry, video production. I'm going to take a quick look through the lyrics that have been provided just to kind of feel this all out, and then we'll go talk about that, I suppose, more in the lyrics section. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named SOUTHDOGROCK titled Dreamer. I had to look through the lyrics really quickly. I think a lot of what, I think I've kind of figured out what it was about through kind of summarizing what I've heard in the video, and like translating that last little bit in that, the kind of the French bit at the end of the song there, which as I understand it, equates to thousands of secrets, millions of questions, but a shared dream one day we'll meet again. So I think, if anything, I think it's talking in one part about the fact that, you know, as human beings, when we're young, we have all these dreams and ambitions and stuff like that. Or with stuff we want to do every day as an adventure and stuff. And as we get older, we kind of maybe lose that joy, that spark there, and forget how we used to enjoy life. But I think as we continue forward, it's worth remembering that all these dreams we have that shared kind of passion for life and for making the most of it. And maybe we actually do meet on that summer. Like the second verse there mentioned like a summer, when I meet you that summer, like lots of questions and stuff like that, as if one person can open the world up to us on another angle, and we can kind of like learn from each other and become bigger and allow the world to kind of become an oyster through those interactions. As if all of us coming together to dream again is making the world better for ourselves by a clearer understanding. I'm wondering if that's what Dreamer is about. I know there's potentially nuance missing, but I think that's kind of my best guess at this point in time. It's about the celebration of people dreaming for things to be better, working towards that, and not losing the hope that we had when we were younger, and kind of celebrating the fact that we had that sort of innocence at all. I could be wrong though. I think that the vocals that we had from both Marie and Florian were wonderful. I liked how they interacted with each other. There was a great sense of chemistry between them. They seemed to like harmonizing with each other and doing back and forth kind of cool responses. Both were comfortable in their respective vocal ranges with really solid vocal technique, very comfortable in their head and chest voice, etc. There wasn't a super crazy amount of ornamentation from either of the two singers, I think, because they were kind of trying to match each other and establish a sense of kind of kinsmanship with that. So I think that it's okay that one person or both weren't doing a whole lot of crazy stuff. There was already a lot of color within the arrangement anyways, with all the guitar, bass kind of key stuff going on, as well as the drums. So, you know, no worries there. I think ultimately the reason that the vocals are so satisfying is not only because, I mean, this song seems so short. The song flew by. We have a lot of instrumental breaks within this. When there are verses that are purposeful, we have the two languages, so you kind of go in between the two, so things never become stale or kind of overdone. And even if we have like repetition of the choruses and stuff like that and the hook lines, and we keep on that dream rhythm quite a bit, it's represented in certain ways where when that final bit does come in, where the kind of music takes away, and we talk about like maybe we'll meet again someday after, like with the millions of questions and stuff like that. It's very contemplative and kind of pensive, and it makes you kind of consider that perspective even more. In short, I suppose, alongside a really competent, confident vocal performance from both singers, with a great chemistry between them, and the fact that I really appreciate what they're trying to do in general with the fact like that their collaboration that they've got here. and the fact that their performance makes sense with the story. It's just the track itself where we're instantly inundated with the bass, the guitars, the piano, and drums very quickly from the outset. Maybe not all at once, but a lot of it comes in and we're introduced to it. And like we had like a drum fill, I think, to start off with, and clearly we could play off the bat. We were having the 8th and 16th note grooves on the snares and toms to move into cymbal and sort of crash shuffles and stuff like that. Very comfortable expressing ourselves with a sort of stick proficiency there, and we also knew to kind of pocket a little bit, even if it was still kind of crazy on the kit. We were able to kind of keep things settled enough with a sensible amount of dynamic range, not trying to overpower the rest of the elements in the mix, and it allowed for the transitions between verse parts or chorus parts or different instrumental breaks to be very, very smooth. The bass playing was very fragrant. It was nice in that low end, but we also didn't just stick to the root notes. We're moving around the scale shapes we had there, comfortable with the triads there. We had a great sense of groove and pace to it that was not only encouraged by the funkiness of the drums, but also by the interesting ideas on the guitars, and often the space left from the guitars by trying not to sort of go too far into the lower end of the fretboard or on the strings. There's a lot of room for the bass to move around because things were stacked nicely in the frequency spectrum. And the keys that we had on top there did not interfere with any of that. The keys in the mid to high range there articulated nicely on top of the existing kind of harmonies with the guitars and solidified the bass lines, and really they were a great asset alongside what was going on with the vocals, which were the focal point here when there weren't instrumental breaks. The guitar parts, where there are the kind of funky kind of bar chords there, or the almost Vi-ish kind of lead solo-y bits there with a bit of tremolo work and stuff like that, were wonderful. I liked the 80s aesthetic to them. It sounded like sort of a sense of hope and everything like that. It wasn't shredding. It was very tasteful lead lick playing there, and it was optimistic, and it was also quite sophisticated. I think that the combination of the various elements that I've described here makes for a piece of music where, regardless of where you're at within it, you're being sort of like invited to enjoy it. And even though we're talking about the fact that, yeah, when we get older, things aren't as sort of like romantic necessarily and as magical as they might have used to have been, I still think we're in a situation where we can nonetheless appreciate that they're trying to get us excited for the fact that one day we will be able to dream again, and that we won't just take things for granted, that things will improve, and it doesn't always have to be like this. I think there was just so much color in the harmonies and various sort of chorus part, chord parts there, the bass line being very active and a lot of energy in the drums there, with again the keys articulating mids and highs, that even if we had space there to appreciate things, even if most of the instruments came away, there was a great sense of movement, pace, and energy to it, which reflected some of the positivity and I think the affectation of the vocal parts there with the theme. It left the theme and overall track feeling like it wanted to kind of encourage you to still try and look towards the possibility of being able to dream again with everyone else. I think that was what it was trying to sort of encourage the idea of, is that not to let yourself get too down about the time you've lost, maybe not realizing that there are still opportunities to have things better or things to be better than they are. And I enjoyed that. There were complicated chords in there, the progressions there, some extensions occasionally there. It was a complicated performance, quite technical, but at the same time, I don't think it ever overstepped the boundaries. I think it still did pocket at times when it needed to. I don't think there was a note out of place. It was just a really tight effort, so I'm really happy with what was presented here. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was solid, I think, as well. We had a great sense of presence with the vocal parts as well as the guitars, bass, drums, and keys. But the guitars, I think the clean guitars on the right side, I know this is the opposite for you guys. Then on the left side there is the bass there. They had different tones, easy to sort of discern in the mix there. Sounded great. The drums were nice and sort of like practical there, you know, you had the presence and sort of things kind of were there. They popped in, but not too much. They didn't overpower things, you know. The leveling in general was quite tight. There were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum, with the keys on top there being nicely niched, with the lows, with the higher parts and mids kind of retained. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field, again with the panning of things in different parts there, the music that's around you and the headphones. There was dynamic range, there was a bit of it, not a huge amount, but I mean things did go down at the end there with the sort of like the last stanza there talking about and in French, and I think that was great to have that bit of surprise and kind of curiosity there. It was still nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting was handled. I mean, ultimately, I think this was a well-written track there that I think the story, I appreciate the story for what it is. I can kind of connect to it, and I can understand with the instruments and everything else what we're trying to do here. So I think it's well done. It's my review of this track from an act named SOUTHDOGROCK, titled Dreamer, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they have more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.